So thank you very much for the organizer for inviting me. It's a pleasure to present you some of my results of the last years concerning effect of losses in interacting quantum gases, and in particular in 1D Bose gases. So I will present a bunch of results that cover several years of research. So effect of losses has regained quite a lot of interest those last years. So for instance, strong losses were proposed and actually it was achieved to realize strongly correlating gases with some kind of Zeno effect. Losses were proposed as a resource for quantum computing to drive phase transition. And in 2016, in Vienna, it was shown that losses actually can induce cooling of a long wavelength collective mode in a quantum gas. And this inspired actually my work on effect of losses. So there is still a lot to discover on the effect of losses, and I hope I will convince you about this. And there are many interesting stuff. So you can have many kinds of losses in quantum gases. So in cold atom experiment, typically you could have one body losses, for instance, collision with atoms from the background gas or coupling to an untrapped state. You could also have two body losses if atoms are not in the internal ground state. And you could also have the most common losses, in fact, which are three body losses, which are recombination losses, where a deeply bound two atoms molecule is formed. So in this talk, I will consider the effect of homogeneous local K-body slow losses. So K-body, I mean that K atoms located at the same position are involved in the loss process and are lost. Homogeneous because I assume the process is independent on the position in the system, and slow losses because I assume the loss process is very slow compared to a typical relaxation time in my system. Okay, so first I will show you that we recently discovered that assuming losses described by the usual Lindblad equation and assuming at the same time contact interaction actually leads to some divergence in dimension larger than 1. And I think this is a good illustration to show that losses actually, they are a very rich phenomena. So in 1D, the problem is well defined within the Lindblad equation, and I will focus on it in the rest of the seminar. And I will first give you some theoretical results where we completely characterize the effect of losses in a 1D Bose gas with contact interaction using the representation of the gas in terms of its rapidity distribution. And then I will present experimental results which focus actually on long wavelengths collective excitation in weakly interacting gases. So to my knowledge, until now, effect of losses in quantum gases, in the context of cold atom at least, was always described using the Lindblad equations that you see here, which is an equation for the density matrix of the system, rho, and effect of losses is captured by this Lindbladian with a single parameter, big J, which quantify the strength of the loss process. So this kind of equation suppose that the correlation time of the reservoir where losses occur is infinitely short compared to any other time scale. It's universal in the sense that detail of the loss process is not relevant, and the loss process is characterized only with a single parameter, big J. So in the case where the system presents no correlation between atoms, effect of losses can be worked out. For instance, for one body losses, K equal 1, losses do not, losses are very easy in this case, and it amounts just to an exponential decrease of the population in each quantum state. Now, if quantum correlations are present between atoms, then things are very different and very complicated to compute. And in fact, in our gases, we do have interaction between atoms, which will introduce correlation between atoms. In general, the interaction range of our interacting potential, RE, is much smaller compared to typical length scale associated with the typical energy per atom, square root of ME over H bar. So in this case, we can model our interaction with a contact interaction term. And then the two-body wave function presents a singularity behavior when the distance between two atoms goes to 0. So in 1D, it's a kink. So the derivative has a kink. And in 2D and 3D, it's really a divergence of the wave function. And this singular behavior of the wave function is responsible, when you go to Fourier space, is responsible to a momentum distribution which presents tails decreasing as P over 2,4. So this is the famous 1 over P4 momentum tails for contact interaction. So now, knowing the existence of those tails, when you compute the kinetic energy in your system, you will find that the kinetic energy actually is diverging as soon as the dimension of your system is larger than 1. This divergence of kinetic energy is, of course, counteracted by a diverging interaction energy so that the total energy in your system is finite. Now, let's suppose you have losses in your system described by the Lindblad dynamics, which means that a loss event is actually instantaneous. So you have the wave function of your system, psi of R1, R2, R3, etc. before the loss event. And let's suppose you have a one body loss term, to be simple, and you, at t equals 0, you remove the atom number 1 at a position R loss. The wave function just after this loss event is just equal to the loss function just before. So it still has a singular behavior as soon as one of the remaining atoms approach the position of the loss event. But now this divergence does not correspond to the contact of two atoms because you remove the atom number 1. So now you still have, because of this diverging behavior, you still have a kinetic energy in your system which is diverging, but this divergence is no longer compensated by a diverging negative interaction energy. So the energy of your system just after the loss is just infinite. So this shows that contact interaction and Lindblad dynamic are just incompatible in dimension larger than 1. So you have to regularize the problem, either taking into account the finite interaction range or the finite correlation time of the reservoir. And actually, this is done if you are interested in a paper of us of this year. Okay, but now I will focus to 1D system. So in 1D, you don't have this problem of divergence. So the problem is well defined. If you consider contact interaction, so the Liebleiniger Hamiltonian here, together with a loss process described by the Lindbladian, which I show here. However, the physics is still not so simple because although we consider slow losses so that the system has time to relax at any time, but the problem is quite complicated because our system is integrable. So it's not sufficient to describe our system to keep track only on total atom number and total energy. You need actually to keep track of all integral of motion, all conserved quantity. And another way of seeing this is to say that you have to keep track of the function, a wave function, which is the rapidity distribution. So the rapidities, as Benjamin already explained you, are simply asymptotic momenta of the atoms. If you imagine, you would let your cloud expand to infinity. And also the rapidities just labels the wave, the eigenstate of your system. So the rapidity distribution, rho of k, is such that rho of k dk is the number of rapidities in the interval k plus dk, and you divide by the total size of the system to have an intensive quantity. And so after relaxation, the system is completely characterized by the rapidity distribution, as long as you are interested in local quantities. So we assume slow losses so that we can at any time describe our system by its rapidity distribution. And one has to find the evolution of the rapidity distribution. So we are looking for a functional big F, which is defined by the equation here. You see my mouse? Oh, okay. So from the Lindblad equation, we can deduce an evolution equation for any conserved quantity big Q, which is an integral over x of a local quantity small q. You find derivative of mean value of big Q over dt equal this quantity here, which involve here a commutator. And this operator is a local operator, so it makes sense to compute it for the rapidity distribution of the system. So actually, we can construct a conserved quantity Qk, which counts the number of rapidities around K with some width in K sigma. As long as sigma is much larger than 1 over big L, the total size of the system, indeed, Qk can be written as an integral of a local quantity. And moreover, sigma is much smaller than the typical width in K describing the evolution of rho of K, then Qk is nothing else than the rapidity distribution at the value K. So using the equation above, we can deduce the evolution of d rho over dt, and we find, so I recall here the definition of the functional big F. We find the functional big F, which is written here. Here we expanded the above formula, inserting eigenstates of the Liebling-Niger model. So the lambda I and me here are the set of rapidities that label eigenstate of my eigenstate of my Liebling-Niger model. So we have to do here you can see form factor mu j psi k of 0 lambda I. So those form factor they have been computed recently in several papers, and we can use those expression and to do those to do this calculation, since we have to do a sum over in a huge space, which is the space of rapidities. We actually evaluate those sums doing a double Markov chain. So this is really the work of Jérôme Dubail. Okay, and now, in fact, in the hardcore limit, which is the limit of infinite repulsion strength between my atoms, so which means that the typical energy per atom is much smaller compared to mj square over h bar square. In this limit, actually, we managed to derive analytical results. In this limit, the probability to have more than one atom at a given position is 0. So only the case of one body losses is relevant. And moreover, in this limit of hardcore bosons, there is a mapping towards the bosonic system and a system of free fermions. You just have to go from the wave function of the bosons, you just antisymmetrize it to obtain the wave function of the fermions. So this is illustrated here in those plots. But you have to be careful because the many body wave function of the bosons shows periodic boundary condition, whatever the atom number. But when you antisymmetrize it, what you find is that the many body wave function of the fermions should be either periodic or anti-periodic, depending on the parity of the number of atoms. So this is illustrated here. So you have to take this into account carefully to compute the functional big F. So I don't go into the detail of the calculation, but at the end, we find a functional which is written here. So you can see from this expression that big F is non-local in rapidities because it involves integrals of rho of k. It's also non-linear in rho of k because here this integral is taken square and here you have rho k square. So it's actually quite a non-trivial effect. And I think this is, yes, okay. This shows the fact that, yes, effect of losses is highly non-trivial in those correlated systems. So here I show the functional F in dashed line, which is analytic. And in the solid line here is a numerical calculation based on the formula I showed you before. So we have a very good agreement. So all these studies have been published with Jérôme Dubail and Benjamin Doyon in 2020. So now if you look at the tails here, you find actually 1/K4 tails. And actually those 1/K4 tail would correspond to an increase of the rapidity distribution tails, and they will produce rapidity distribution tails in 1/K4. Actually, we can show that this is not particular to the hardcore regime. It will exist in any regimes. And it is really due to the singularity of the wave function at the position of the lost event. And we investigated with Jérôme Dubail the effect of this increase of the 1/K4 tail of the rapidity distribution under the effect of losses. And we show in particular that those tails, they will contribute to the 1/K4 tails of the momentum distribution of the atoms, and they will add to the contact term, which is the famous TANS contact term. Okay. Now this is all nice, but in many experiments actually, we work in a completely different regime of the 1D Bose gases, which is the weakly interacting regime where density fluctuations in the system stays very small. So it is the opposite regime from the hardcore regime. And in this system, we like to represent the system using what we call the Bogolyubov approximation, which is linearizing the excitation in density fluctuation and gradient of phase. And okay, so doing so, the Hamiltonian is just the sum of Hamiltonian of harmonic oscillator. So for each wave vector k, the hk is just a harmonic oscillator Hamiltonian with delta nk and theta k, the conjugate variables. And you can write this also as h bar omega k, a dagger k, a k plus 1/2, where a dagger k create an excitation of momentum k. So you have the famous relation dispersion of Bogolyubov. And for long wavelengths, so small k, you recover the sound waves with omega k equals ck, where c is the speed of sound. So now what is the effect of losses in this picture, Bogolyubov picture? So to compute this, let us consider just the effect of losses on a given cell of our gas that contains many atoms with a mean value n0 plus some fluctuation delta n. So first n0, sorry, there shouldn't be this delta. N0 evolves because of losses according to this equation, but also delta n changes. First, delta n, you can, so delta n is small, so you can linearize for small delta n, and you find that the evolution of delta n present a term which is a dissipative term proportional to delta n that is written here in blue. But in addition to this, you have a stochastic term, which is due to the fact the loss process is a stochastic process and the number of loss events during an interval dt is not fixed, it presents some fluctuations. So you can work out this and you can compute d psi, the mean value of d psi square. So losses have also, in fact, an effect on the phase theta. And this can be seen because imagine you would record the number of losses, then you gain information on the initial atom number in the cell. So if you gain information on a variable, you should increase the spread of its conjugate variable. So we should have a phase diffusion, and when we work out, we find this equation. So now going to the continuous limit and taking the Fourier transform, we find equation giving the evolution of delta nk square and theta k square, which are written here. Now, from those equations, we can easily compute the evolution of the population of the Bogoliubov mode K, and we find this equation here. Okay, so you recover the dissipative term here in minus plus some term here due to fluctuations. So now at large K, when you use the expansion of Fk at large K, you recover the 1 over K4 behavior. So you recover the increase of the 1 over K4 tails I was telling you about before. So this is all nice. And now consider the opposite limit of phonons, so small k's. So we will consider, instead of the population of the phonon mode, we will consider the mean energy in the phonon mode, hk, divided by mc squared to have a dimensional number. So from the above equation, doing the expansion of fk at small k, we find the following equation giving the evolution of y. And we find that as time goes on, y goes to an asymptotic value, which is the following: y asymptotic equal 1 over 2 minus 1 over big K. So this is very nice. So we find that the phonons, they take an asymptotic temperature, which is just some number which depends on K, the number of atoms involved in the loss process, times mc squared. So actually, we extended the simple calculation to take into account the effect of the longitudinal trap. And we extended also those calculations to take into account 3D effect, which is the inflation of the transverse wave function, swelling of the transverse wave function under the effect of interactions. But okay, this is some minor stuff. Okay, so now let me see. Yes, I want to present you some experiments where we confirm those predictions for the phonons. So we use our atom chip experiment where we produce 1D Bose gases. So here is a picture of a 1D Bose gas with its reflection on the mirror. And you can trust me that indeed we are quite deep into the 1D regime and the quasi-condensate regime. So now we have a thermometry method, which is a method which has been developed here in Vienna, which is the so-called density ripple method. The idea is to cut interaction by cutting the transverse confinement so that the cloud very quickly expands transversally. And then we let the cloud evolve freely for a few milliseconds. And during this free evolution, phase fluctuation initially present will transform into density fluctuation. And we record those density fluctuations. So this is an example of a single shot image. So we do a statistical analysis and we investigate the power spectrum of those density ripple. And we can fit them to the formula expected for thermal equilibrium. And we deduce some temperature. So because of our optical resolution, actually we probe only phononic wavelengths. So the temperature we get is the temperature of the phonons. So this is a measurement of the temperature of the phonons in our system. So in our system, we do have 3 body losses naturally because of rubidium, of their properties. And indeed, when we look at, when we plot the peak density in our system versus time, we find a very good agreement with ab initio calculation made according to the known parameter of 3 body losses. So this is all nice. And now we plotted the evolution of the ratio KBT over MC squared. The ratio that I showed you before, it should have an asymptotic value of the order of 1. So we plot, so for all our data set, we plot this ratio. Well, instead of plotting it versus T, we plotted it versus the peak density. So time goes, so you should see from the left to the right if you want to see time evolution. And what you see is that indeed this ratio stays close to its asymptotic value all over the evolution, although the peak density itself can vary by more than a factor 3. So in dashed line, here is the expected asymptotic value. So just to show some example of numerical calculation of the time evolution, but we computed the expected time evolution for 2 different initial situations here, just for information. So we can plot exactly the same data, but in the phase space diagram with gamma in the interaction parameter and T, the temperature parameter here. And you see that all our data, they indeed collapse on the line, which is given by KBT equal MC squared times 0.7. And here in dashed dotted line is the line corresponding to the smooth crossover between the ideal both gas regime and the quasi-condensate regime below. Okay, so this has been published in 2018, but more recently, we revisited some experiments which were done in Vienna's group, and we get some different results. And in our case, we have good agreement with theory. So the point now is to investigate the effect of one body losses. So in our experiment, we choose to introduce one body losses using a microwave magnetic field that couples the atoms into an untrapped state. And moreover, we use noisy magnetic field to enlarge the transition and make really sure that it does not depend on the energy of the atoms. So here you see the evolution of the atom number versus time for different parameters, and you see nice exponential decrease as expected. And here you see the evolution of the ratio KBT over MC squared versus time. And you see again that all the data, they gather along the theoretical prediction for the asymptotic value of KBT over MC squared. So this is the main results of our work. So we have good agreement with theory, and this solves the open question raised by results of Vienna, experimental results, which did not agree with this. Okay, so this is all nice, and this concerns phonons. But now from experimental data, we can also have some information about excitation at higher energy. And this information, we can get it from considering the profile of our cloud. So our clouds, they are confined in a harmonic potential. And so this is a typical profile. So the bulk here, which is about an inverted parabola shape, corresponds to the quasi-BEC. And phonons, they live inside this. And here, the tails here would correspond to actually excitation who have energy larger than the chemical potential in your system, which are beyond the phononic regime. And now, if we plot the theoretically predicted profile at a temperature, which is the temperature we deduce from our measurement of the phononic temperature, we find the red curve, and we see that it has very tiny wings. So the wings we see experimentally are much higher, much above the wings expected if the cloud would be at thermal equilibrium at a temperature equal to that of the phonons. So we have here a demonstration that our clouds are no longer described by thermal equilibrium. And this was expected indeed, because from our calculation of the evolution, the rapidity distribution, we know it goes towards something which is no longer a thermal equilibrium distribution.
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Ah, okay, I was a bit speed, sorry, because I thought it was over. So this is, I go to the end of my talk. So I can take my time here to describe other experimental results that were published in 2017, where we also show that we have also indications that the phonon temperature and the temperature of the higher energy excitation, they do not coincide. This was done also So for the higher excitation, we were relying on the density profile. And here the phonon temperature was actually deduced from measurement of in situ density fluctuation instead of density ripples. But we had the same conclusion that both temperature did not agree. And the difference between both temperature was stable with time.
Okay, yes. So it's an including question.
Including question.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
I should go to my conclusion. Okay, so a rapid summary. So I think I convinced you that we have a, that we have a complete characterization of the loss process for 1D gases. Based on rapidity distribution. We have also calculation which works in the weakly interacting regime that uses the Bogolyubov analysis, and those calculations agree well with the experimental results. And now the prospect is that it would be nice to use our results concerning the rapidity distribution evolution to compute the evolution of the density profile of our clouds, but this would need to gain efficiency of the numerical calculation. Right now, it's too heavy calculation to be done. Now, I think something that really has to be done is the link between the rapidity distribution point of view and the Bogolyubov description for weakly interacting both gases. And this is something we are working at now. Okay, so thank you for listening.